Vodafone cares about you and your health. Through our 255 call center, we have empowered Ghanaians from across the country with our unique phone-in medical consultancy. We also bring you Health Fest, where a trained medical team travel the nation giving free medical treatment. But it all started here on your TV screen with the award-winning television program, Healthline. This week on Healthline, we visit an organization that is striving to rid Ghana of HIV. And we catch up with Martin from last season.
Your first step towards healthy living is to get a handle on your health status right now. On Healthline, we show you just how to. Before we jump into the show, say hi to Ruth.
Hello.
Lorraine.
Hi, everyone.
Bright.
Hello.
And I am Papani.
Now we have Omar on the line. Omar, go ahead, please.
Hello, I'm Omar. I'm calling from Bawi. Doctors, I see a lot of bright red blood each time I go to the toilet. Am I sick?
Omar, that's an interesting question. First thing I'd like to say is that any form of bleeding that is not expected is something to actually worry about. I'll just take this part here, which is the intestines, and explain something to you. So bleeding or passing bright red stool is something that occurs when you are bleeding from the lower GIT or the lower gastrointestinal system. Now that refers to this part here at the periphery. So in parts, it's called the ascending colon, the transverse colon, the descending colon, which comes all the way here. Then here we have the sigmoid colon, and here we have the anus and also the rectum. Now, bleeding at any of these sites would actually cause you to pass bright red stool, and that is a cause for concern. Now, there are a number of conditions that can actually cause this. So we'll just start from the lower part, okay, which is the rectum and the anus. Here you can have what we call anal fissures, which are actually little cuts or tears on the anus, and this can actually bleed and produce the bright red blood. Again, you can have a cancer of the rectum, and anytime you have a cancer, it means it's destroying the tissues in that area, and you can have bleeding. When you go higher up, there's something called diverticulosis. Now, these are just little pockets on the large intestines, and this can actually cause a massive bleed most of the time and can actually cause serious problems to the individual. Another thing to also take note of is simple constipation. Sometimes when you're constipated for a very long time, as the stool or the feces passes through the intestinal system, it causes a lot of straining, and the straining can actually rupture some of the vessels and cause you to bleed. And one other thing I'd like to talk about is inflammation. There are some certain conditions known as Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, which cause inflammation or swelling of the large intestines. And when this happens, it can actually cause erosion of the intestines, and this can bleed and come out as bright red blood. And you know that any form of bleeding can result in anemia or severe blood loss, which could actually kill you if this is not dealt with. So I advise you that if you see blood in your stool, take it serious, go and see your doctor and have it managed. Most especially if you're somebody who's 50 years and above, you should go to the hospital because this could be an early sign of cancer.
From age 40, you all need to get what we call a colonoscopy. It's the most uncomfortable thing I've ever seen in my life.
But it's life-saving.
Yes, although it's uncomfortable, this basically allows us to visualize the inside of what Bright showed you. We can actually see the whole passage. If there's anything there, we can see it, take a piece of it, and then go and do a test on it to see if it's cancerous or not.
Even the smallest quantity of blood could be an alert for something bigger. So look out for all the associated factors, and then please, please, please get to a hospital as soon as possible. This week, our team is in the field in Hacho. Let's join them.
My name is Nash Van der Poydonten. I'm a medical officer trained in Holland. And I moved to Ghana about 12 years ago and actually joined my husband who had set up this organization and also this health facility. We actually have a very unique setup here where we have an NGO arm called the West Africa AIDS Foundation, but then also we have the opportunity of having an on-site clinic which allows us to do everything to do with treatment when it comes to HIV. HIV in Ghana actually compared to most other West African countries is not doing very bad. We currently have a prevalence of about 1.3% with about 270,000 people living with HIV. Looking at when HIV first came to Ghana, this is I think about 2003, it was very difficult for people to understand that HIV is just an ordinary disease. Nobody is really concerned about the fact that we do have antiretroviral medications today, and HIV has become a chronic infection. Everybody could live very well with HIV. The level of stigma is very high, and it cuts across from the individual level to the family level, community level, and even at the healthcare facilities. Getting people to test is actually a major constraint. They know if you go out asking anybody about HIV, there's a very high chance that the person knows what HIV is. But then if you really go a bit deeper to find whether they are doing the right things to protect themselves from HIV, that's where the problem is. What I say to someone who is HIV positive that has gone for a test and knows, the first thing you need to do is go and report to a health facility and ensure you are enrolled onto treatment. There are medications out there. Yes, we know we don't have a cure, but we have medicines that can really ensure that you have quality of life. And especially for mothers who are pregnant, we really encourage them to go and test, because right now in Ghana, we are on the road to total elimination of mother-to-child transmission, and we are doing quite well. We are not yet there, but looking at the fact that so many children have been able to run away from the virus, it's possible, and we need to keep encouraging mothers or expecting mothers to go in for the test because their babies can be saved. The home visit is actually something we started way back. We visit people at their homes if they have a unique situation. We are still trying to ensure that very sick people or people who have conditions that make it very difficult for them to come out still have access to some form of healthcare. The cases are many, really ranging from terminally ill to cases that wouldn't allow them to come out to the health facility, and we feel we have to go to them. So that's something also that makes us different from the usual hospitals and clinics. So we are just coming to see how you are doing. The last time you came to the clinic, we were all very concerned, and we know that it's difficult for you sometimes to come. Until just recently, she came in with a swelling on her face. Initially, we didn't think it was anything serious, but then very rapidly, the swelling started growing. And as of now, she has some sort of a tumor, we think, in her face around the nose area, which we are not even very sure what it is. We've had to refer her because it goes above this facility. But now the problem is that they are requesting for all sorts of more sophisticated tests, which is a bit of a constraint to her. And those are some of the things that we also face sometimes, and we try as much as possible to help. The thing about HIV and most chronic infections is that it's so important that you focus also on the psychosocial aspect of things. Most of the time, they are not even coming to you because of acute medical issues. They are actually coming to you because of psychosocial problems. They need someone to talk to. They need someone to give them hope. They need someone to just be there for them. People think HIV is a sexual, transmitted disease only. We have other modes of transmission, and that is also something that we should also still focus on. We are still not at 0%, so this is a great opportunity to send the word, widely across the country. If we can really do all the things that I'm mentioning about HIV, we truly maybe will get closer to 0%. We are on to total elimination. So thank you very much.
Thanks to Dr. Dunton and WAAF, an AIDS-free Ghana is almost within reach. Good work, Dr. Dunton. We return after the break. Better health, better life, happy child. We talk about children with undescended testicles this week.
In the development of a male fetus, that's a baby boy inside the womb, the testicles are actually found in the abdomen. And during development, they gradually travel and then come to lie within the scrotum, which is the sacs found in between the legs. Now, by the time the baby comes out, the sacs should have the testicles in them. There may be some reasons that would cause them not to be inside, but then it's essential that when the baby comes out, one of the first few things that you should do, especially a baby boy, is to part his legs and diligently search for 2 testicles, not 1, but 2. It's very important. Now, we do encourage that give the testes a chance to descend. You don't just rush in that, oh my God, they're not there, all hell has broken loose. Give your male child at least 1 year. So you'd be inspecting gradually, and then if by a year we realize that the testes are not in the scrotum, then the necessary intervention.
But Lauren, they shouldn't do that on their own though.
Definitely.
They still have to report it immediately, and then they'll do the monitoring with the doctor.
With the doctor.
Exactly.
I'm sure a lot of people will want to know what's the cause of undescended testes. The truth is that the cause is not known, but then there are risk factors of having undescended testes. For instance, if the child is born with a low birth weight, or if the child is born prematurely, the child can have undescended testes. Again, if the mother is one who smokes a lot during the pregnancy or takes a lot of alcohol or has diabetes that has not been well controlled, the child could actually be born with undescended testes.
With all of this in mind, you want to find out how you're going to treat this. If the testis does not descend, we have to intervene. So you're going to require some kind of surgery to help pull out the testis and guide it quietly into the scrotum. Why would I want to do any of this after a year? There's so many complications that could evolve. You don't want your son walking around with only 1 testis or no testes at all. It's an embarrassment among boys. Everybody is comparing and he has nothing to declare. You know your scrotum is anatomically positioned outside your body. There's a reason for that. You see, you need to produce sperms at a temperature that's lower than your core body temperature. That's why you have your scrotal sac outside. So if the testis is still in the body, it's unable to perform its full function. So now you might not be able to produce the kind of sperms that you're supposed to produce, or produce no sperms at all. There's even an increased risk of having testicular cancer if the testicle is still found within the abdomen. And then there's something else called torsion. You see, the testicle is there, it's attached to a tube as well. Now, because it's stuck in there, it can easily get twisted upon itself. This could be extremely painful. So these are some of the reasons why it's very, very crucial that you have a surgical intervention once you notice that the testis is undescended. Learn the truth about myths that concern your health. We have a question from our audience.
My name is Kujo. People normally burn orange dry pills, and they say they normally drive mosquito away. Does it work?
Now, Kujo, that's a really interesting one. And the truth is that it's true. Simply put, it's true. And what I love about this remedy is that, you know, we have a lot of people who are allergic to a lot of the mosquito repellents and the coils on the market. Now, this is a natural remedy because not only does it work as a mosquito repellent, but then it's a great aromatizer for your room. It leaves this wonderful, natural, orangey, zesty kind of smell in the room. Now, the truth is that orange peels contain orange oil. Orange oil has the ability to actually repel insects naturally. When you burn it, the oils are released quicker, and then it has this whole mosquito repellent effect. It's kind of like a 2-in-1. You have a room aromatizer, and then you have an insect repellent.
The third one. You have to eat the orange to get the peel.
So you get your
vitamin
vitamin C. So go ahead and burn your orange peel. It's natural. It gives you a great smelling room. It's cheap and it works.
The following segment contains material of an adult nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Let's have a chat about your most pressing sex issues.
And we have an SMS from Fafa. She's from Agogo, and she says, can you please explain how a couple can get stuck together during sex? This is something that keeps puzzling me.
Fafa, as puzzling as this sounds, it's actually true, but then it's not something that is common. In medical terms, it's called penis captivus. In other words, the penis has actually been held in the vagina. Now, the reason this happens is because the woman actually contracts hard on the penis. In other words, during the process of orgasm, usually, the vagina goes into what we call spasms. Sometimes this spasm is actually supposed to start and end within a few seconds, but in some cases, it actually protracts or stays longer than necessary. So when this happens, there's a hard contraction on the penis, so that if the male tries to remove his organ, he's unable to. So usually what happens is that the couple is advised to just relax until the woman has actually run her course, and then this actually releases the male organ. It indeed does occur, but this is a very rare occurrence.
Fafa, I hope you're less puzzled now. Okay, we'll see you right after the break. Last season on the show, the team found Martin, a once successful teacher living in dire conditions. Let's recap his story.
Martin is originally from the Volta region, but moved to Accra to seek treatment. He had nowhere to stay, so he took refuge in the old hospital canteen that is being renovated.
My name is Martin Simpri. I was born in Peki in the Volta region of Ghana. About 2.5 years ago, I detected a swell in my navel, and I've been going to the hospital from time to time, and each time they said it was not big enough for them to detect what exactly it was. Until 2011 November, I started going to the regional hospital at Ho, where they carried out some few diagnoses and detected it was epigastric hernia.
A hernia is where the intestines protrude through a weak spot in the intestinal wall. In Martin's case, his weak spot is his umbilical area around the navel.
The surgical doctor referred me to the anesthetic clinic to find out whether I could be fit for surgical operation. The doctor told me, after reviewing the reports, I can go for surgical operation. After some time, it was really difficult raising money, even for some of the lab tests. So I had to follow a few benevolent people to assist me, pay some of this for the lab results. My home is far from here. It's not easy going back home, coming back to attend the clinic. So due to financial constraints, I found it necessary to stay around the hospital premises and then attend the clinic the next review day. That's how I found myself most of the time at the premises of the hospital. If by God's grace I have this surgery performed, I'll be relieved, and my family to be relieved. Because as I now, they're always worried, they keep on calling, we are praying for you, God will help you and all that. So it will be a big relief to everybody. For the future, definitely where there is life, there is hope. So I hope to pick the pieces up and continue with life. And all that I plan to do, which I can have been stalled for now, I hope to do them.
The following scenes contain images that could disturb sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. When Vodafone found out about Martin's condition, they provided the life-changing surgery for him.
The procedure today is we're going to do what we call herniorrhaphy. That is the repair of the hernia. You open, you explore, you introduce the content of the hernia into the abdominal cavity, and then you repair the defect, which can be two ways. Either you repair it with his own tissue, or when you realize that the tissue is so defective that he doesn't have support, he doesn't have enough, strong tissue for the repair, you can aid your repair with the use of a prosthesis, what we call a mesh, to reinforce the abdominal wall so that the hernia will not come back again. There was a huge defect in the anterior abdominal wall at the region of the umbilicus. The defect contained the intestine. So what I did was first to resect the sac, the hernia sac. Secondly, reduce the content of the hernia, that is the intestine and then the omentum. Then after, I placed the mesh on the defect to reinforce it. Because the hernia has been there for a long time, there was excess of skin. So we have to resect that and we call it abdominoplasty.
Vodafone would like to thank the staff at the Ganuba Specialist Clinic for all they have done for Martin. A year later, Martin joins Healthline in the studio.
You're very welcome, Mr. Martin.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good
How
to
do
see
you
you
feel?
I feel great. I feel very happy. I feel excited and elated after going through that process, the terrible situation, sleeping under trees, the mess of mosquitoes and all that.
How have things changed since the surgery?
I think after the surgery, I regained that strength. That problem is gone.
It hasn't come back?
No.
Wow, that's good to hear.
It has been seized in the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen. Yeah. So how is moving around now?
Moving around, since that problem is no longer there, I think I move about normal. I don't intend going back to the classroom under this condition. And so I've decided to take up writing.
Interesting. Okay.
Writing textbooks, storybooks, novels.
That's a real inspiration. That's a real inspiration. So, Mr. Martin, going forward, do you have any message for fans out there, for Vodafone, in light of what they've been able to help you achieve?
Well, for Vodafone, I only say equal for the good work that you are doing. My hope is sooner than later also contribute our widow's mite towards the program so that those who are in need, like some of us had, could also benefit.
We really wish you all the best, and we'll still be following you up to see how you do along the way. And all the best for the writing. This brings us to the close of the show. You've been a lovely audience. Till we meet next week, remember that a good laugh and a long sleep are the best cures in a doctor's book. Goodbye.
If you have been moved by the stories or issues you've seen on Healthline, you can donate 1 Ghana cedi by texting GIVE to 133. If you want to donate more than 1 Ghana cedi, please dial *133# and follow the prompts. Next week on Healthline, the doctors talk about pregnancy. And in the field, we meet Comfort, who has to make a very difficult decision.
Vodafone, power to you.